So I watched this video and I felt things, felt annoyed. I hated this video. So like any responsible, self-reflecting person, I had to ask, am I part of the problem? Am I the very society this video is calling out? Let's see, so some signs I might hate artists. Well, I'm an IP abolitionist. Clearly I don't want artists to be paid for their work. As a corollary of that, I like generative AI, i.e. the plagiarism machine, and well, I majored in math, so I'm a filthy STEM lord and probably hates arts and humanities and anything that's not facts and logic. On the other hand, I draw. Though that by no means exempt me from internalized artist phobia. Well, let's explore my opinions and compare notes. First of all, what is an artist? The term is overloaded. It's been used to refer to different things and people use it in different contexts and don't point it out when they switch context and just like roll with it as if it's the same thing. There's artists, as in people who work in mediums of drawing or writing or sound or other mediums that are commonly used for self-expression. And then there's artists, as in people outputting works that have the intention of self-expression, as in expressing themselves in particular. And now in practice, the Venn diagram is very close to a circle, since most people probably learnt to draw or write or compose for the sake of self-expression. But the conceptual distinction matters. For instance, Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel, he's not appreciated as an artist in the second sense, as in he designed the Sistine Chapel because he was commissioned to do so and not because he wanted to. But you can't say he wasn't appreciated as an artist in the first sense. He was valued for his skills. But like, does society hate engineers because they don't get to build the machines they want to build? Does society hate doctors because they don't get to treat the patients they want to treat? Oh, you want to treat colon cancer, but oh no, no one has colon cancer. Everyone has skin cancer instead, so that's what you get paid to treat. You must feel so hated, right? Everyone gets paid to do what the payer wants, not what they want. So yes, artists needed a patron to survive. And, well yeah, everyone needs people to pay them to survive. And what a surprise, only rich people can afford to pay you for a luxury good like art. Now, I'm obviously talking about practicality and stuff here. I do think it's true in some sense that society needs artists. I have a story I'm working on because I feel like the world needs to see it, as in there's something I'm trying to say, and I feel like a lot of the world's problems will be dispelled if it heard me, and a lot of people would breathe a sigh of relief and feel unburdened from a heavy feeling in their chest that they couldn't put their finger on. Someone needs to put a finger on that feeling. But need is another word that's overloaded. No one will suddenly keel over and die from a lack of pictures or stories or music in their lives. Art is a luxury item. Artists agree with this. It's the exact rationale that anti-AI artists use to argue that wanting free food, housing, and healthcare for everyone is based, but wanting free art for everyone is entitled on cringe. But also, it means not everyone's going to go around buying art the same way everyone goes around buying food, or renting rooms, or paying for their medicine, or checkups in countries where that needs to be done. Now, you might astutely observe, hey, what about people working in tech? No sane person would say that having a computer or a phone is necessary for survival, and you'd be completely right. It's an astute observation. There's this thing called necessity creep. No one's gonna keel over and die without a phone, but in our society you become extremely limited without one. Whereas I can't see society ever getting to any point which relies on its participants to have a picture of their OC, or a silk scarf, or a diamond ring in order to function. Art will always be a luxury and never fall victim to necessity creep. By the way, I think necessity creep is bad. I don't think it's good for tech workers to have leverage due to necessity creep, and I think it would be better if we could choose not to own a phone and still function in society. I myself minimize my phone usage, basically only using it to receive calls and refusing to make calls unless it's an emergency. I'm just noting that necessity creep is a real thing that exists right now, whether we like it or not. And apart from tech workers, you might be wondering about the people who make silk scarves or diamond rings. Are they struggling as much as artists? Well, maybe not, but like, you have to be in a pretty privileged position to begin with in order to get your hands on silk and diamonds, right? It is true that people pester artists for free art when they wouldn't pester doctors for free treatment or, lawyers for free legal advice. But there's an explanation for that. They do it because they actually have a success rate. They're not thinking, who deserves to be paid for their work? I should avoid asking free labor from the people who deserve to be paid for their work because that would be wrong. No. And they don't do it because they know the answer will be no. People are selfish. If they can get away with asking for free stuff, they will. And there's been artists literally offering free art to people who say they might use AI. You'd think they'd be happy they're no longer being harassed by idea guys who want them to draw their webcomic because they're using AI now instead. But no, apparently they want to do free work. Actually, maybe one might argue, but the reason artists are so desperate to get exposure and stop AI to begin with is because society hates them. Or maybe there's just a ton of artists and it's hard to stand out in a crowd, and AI happened to be able to produce pictures, text and sound first before being able to automate dangerous physical jobs, because those things are information in a static digital medium, which is much easier to consistently fuck around with than IRL physical shit. There are reasons for AI to have developed to do art first that has nothing to do with a conspiracy against artists. On the other hand, if we're talking artists as in people expressing themselves, then we're not even talking about art as a skill set of artists as workers being paid for their skills. We're just talking about people getting paid for doing whatever they want. When people vent about their life troubles and emotional struggles on the internet, I often find their stories engaging and emotionally resonant. I get something out of it. Does that mean I should pay them for venting? If artists means people making works of self-expression, then people don't pay us for a very simple reason. No one asked. No one asked us to express the particular thing that we're expressing. Even if they retroactively like it after they've already seen it, they didn't ask for it in advance because they didn't know they wanted it. You're the one who asked yourself to do it. Effectively, you are your own client. You're fulfilling your own wishes. It's the same thing with literally every other field. If you unilaterally decide to pursue your own interests, people are not going to fund you. In order to persuade the powers that be to give you funding, people in literally every field has to spin some story about how their work serves their interests. People in literally every field has to compromise and abandon at least some of their creative or research interests to pitch an agenda that the powers would agree to fund and follow through in their pitch. There are tons of people with a PhD in pure math or theoretical physics who are now doing something completely unrelated to the topic of their PhD. Maybe still vaguely maths or physics or whatever, but not what they're actually interested in. Researchers continuing to be paid for their actual research interests are as rare as artists getting paid to work on their own ideas. I'm not saying this is a good thing and artists should just accept it because it's just how things are. We should be able to do what we want without having to effectively beg for permission because we don't have the capacity to do it without being funded by the powers that be. But I am saying that artists are not special in this regard. Liberation for all, not just artists. Most people die poor and unappreciated. It's just the artists you hear about because they left something behind, and their narrative was preserved through the ages. They're the ones whose voices were preserved. They're the ones whose stories we hear. And we find it especially tragic when it's an artist whose work we see and admire, because they were so talented and ingenious and deserve to be recognized in their time. And the thing is, things from the past are always more appreciated than things from the present. We're always like, oh, there are no great works or classics anymore. But in the future, a number of things created today would probably be considered classics. Things from the past are valued because we can't just up and make something like that, or hire someone to make something like that, and for it to be authentic. We can only mimic the old-fashioned styles and trappings of it having been produced in that era. If like an antique grindstone or whatever sells for thousands of dollars today. Does that mean grindstone makers were hated because nobody appreciated the work of the grindstone they made in their day? Okay, I think I can explain this one. There's this perception that negativity and pain is deep, mature, and meaningful, while positivity and joy is shallow and banal and childish. You always hear of cynics calling themselves realists, but not optimists calling themselves realists. If I had to guess where this stems from, probably most of us were force-fed positivity as children and were kept away from anything negative because grown-ups don't want to send us a bad message. So negative, depressing things become some sort of forbidden fruit, and if we like positive things, we must be a child not mature enough to handle the real world. Or maybe it's easier to just complain all day about the problems in the real world instead of believing they can be fixed, because that hope would nag at us to do something about it. So we dismiss hope as childish, naive, or unrealistic, so we can keep sitting around and feel like it's the smart decision because our efforts would have been doomed anyway. Anyway, that aside, I think pure positivity and pure negativity are both uninteresting. Songs in a minor key have major chords and vice versa. You need contrast. Now, it's pretty straightforward to see why artists get the brunt of this. A surgery can't be happy or sad. A machine can't be happy or sad. A bridge can't be happy or sad. A legal document can't be happy or sad. A vacuuming of a lecture theatre can't be happy or sad. But a picture, a story, a song, the things that artists produce, those can be happy or sad. Indeed, the majority of them are. It would be very hard for a piece of art to grab someone's attention while evoking neither positive nor negative emotions, because evoking an emotion is the whole point, unlike a bridge which has a function outside of how you feel about it. Take game devs. A big part of games is the mechanics, not just the theme. Mechanics don't have to be emotional, and thus we don't really hear of how great games are made by those who suffer, except maybe in terms of grind. We do hear stories about how creatives, including game devs, work like 1 billion hours a week and sleep 2 hours a night to churn out their work. So why does society romanticize that? Well, don't ask me. Ask the people telling disabled AI users to draw with their feet. Ask the people saying generative AI can't be used for art because it eliminates the struggle, and the whole point of art is the struggle. Ask the people who use lazy as an insult. But oh wait, they're supposed to be part of the pro-artist faction, aren't they? Everyone wants to be an artist, even people you claim to hate artists, especially people you claim to hate artists. AI bros want to be artists. Idea guys want to be artists. If you reject the premise that they're in it for sincere self-expression, then you must accept the premise that the title of artist carries some prestige in society. But also, that same society hates artists. How can a group both be hated and prestigious at the same time? Either one, the hate came first, and then the prestige came as a backlash, or two, the prestige came first, and then the hate came as a backlash. An example of the former is like marginalized genders and ethnicities, in which case the privilege might be not the correct term, but the privilege comes in like progressive spaces where people at least try to listen to marginalized people more, at least with respect to issues of racism, misogyny, queerphobia, etc. that affect them the most. I'm not entirely sure they actually get listened to more, but on the surface level at least, saying, as an X, this is my opinion on how society treats X's, carries more weight than just, this is my opinion on how society treats X's. In the second case, there's like rich people and politicians. They are privileged and they leverage their privilege over others, which hurts them, and that's why they are hated. Now, then supposing artists are hated, which of these two categories would they fall into? And if they fall into neither category, then what is the narrative behind them being both hated and privileged in society? And what other groups would share that same narrative arc? Or are artists just really that special to be both hated and privileged in a way that defies recurrent patterns in human psychology? So yeah, what's my deal? Why did I react so negatively and defensively to this video? Is it because I hate artists? If so, why? Is it envy? Feeling threatened by the ideas of their work? I might have missed another reason cited in that video. Please do point it out to me if so. I know you're not obligated to give me free therapy, but wouldn't trying to understand me be helpful in understanding and combating the hate against artists? Personally, of course, I don't think I hate artists. This particular video I watched is not representative of artists. I think it rubbed me the wrong way because it reeks of the sentiment: the fact that you don't love and appreciate us after all we've done for you is a personal slight against us. You want to hurt us. You hate us. And therefore, a bad person. Because only bad people hate a person or a group for no reason. Then, of course, the only way to prove we're not bad people is to go out of our way to support artists. Which doesn't just mean speaking up against the corporations subjecting their artists to terrible working conditions, or speaking up against people harassing artists for free art or demanding faster updates on webcomics, but also pretending that machine learning is somehow more of a theft than human learning, commissioning artists instead of using AI despite needing that same money to pay your own rent, and harassing other artists whose OC is too similar to an artist you're more familiar with because they're obviously an art thief. It's not leave us alone. It's not stop spreading false narratives about how we're weak or irrational or stupid or criminals that justify our mistreatment in society. It's you owe us. That's some abusive parent logic right there. I'm not saying this video I watched is abusive. The maker of this video is not society's mom or dad or president or god emperor. They don't have power over it. But does it make sense why one might be triggered by this kind of sentiment? Why one might despise this kind of sentiment and refuse to wield this sentiment over others despite being an artist, and have absolutely no respect for fellow artists who do? Or maybe it's just all copium, I'm just in denial or trying to justify myself and make excuses for my anti-artist attitude. I don't know, you tell me.
Anal, bang bros, BDSM, blowjob, boobies, coming, cum shot, cunt, dick, dildo, fuck ass, gangbang, genital, grope, ISIS, molest, suicide, poops, rape, shat, shit, slut,